If you please start session, please.
Okay. Hello all. I'm glad to be among you today. I'm sorry that my voice may be changed because I'm very sick today, but we'll do it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. We'll start today with welcome note with the co-chair, Professor Kiro Sikora, and after with Professor Abba Maloum. So, would you kindly, Professor Kiro Sikora, welcome, give us your welcome note?
Hi there. I'm speaking from London. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, probably to you. But it's great to see. Let's see what we can come up with in this great initiative. Ahmed, there's not very many people here today. Yeah? Have people joined? There's only 8 people, I see. Ahmed.
Yes, I am with you. We agree together that the objective of this recording is not a webinar of 50 person and 100 person and goodbye. As you see from the first series, how many people saw it till now. First, it was recorded, and there is a series, there is access to all the five webinars of systemic cancer therapy, and I received till now feedback. Second,
Right.
all the series and even the first two webinars of this series are now is part of is diffused by eCancer. So it is diffused by e-cancer. So it is not webinars and goodbye. 50 person or 100 person doesn't matter with us. What's important, we record an element to remain and to make changes even slowly, no problem.
Okay.
We are not giving a lecture in about breast cancer treatment that you can find it in any conference or congress or book or one of a chapter of one of your excellent book. But we would try to make changes. This is not so popular, but it need to be recorded and to diffused. So I think that every one of us, one of his great contribution is to diffuse this record. Why we record it? When we make feedback, and you find today we raise some points which may be not popular, but it's brainstorming. Really, we received feedback from many, but slowly, this is game changing. Nobody come to if you say announce for treatment of HER2 positive breast cancer or something, you'll find many, no problem. But if you announce for something today like a special technique which is not known before to how to reduce the cost and time of IMRT, and this despite that this invention had an award of the one of the breakthrough in United States in medical physics, take an award, but nobody here would like to hear, because this is against interest, frankly. Frankly.
Right.
And if another topic today about how to do image guided radiotherapy without the CT or MRI, and this is also financed by even by Varian. But why you don't find it in variant products? And when Professor uh, 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 who presented this we was together, and beside me was the president of Varian himself. He upload this, but doesn't mean that they will they'll make a announcement about it, or they'll diffuse it, because it will reduce many of their product. And this is short-sighted, really, because radiotherapy and cancer chemotherapy and cancer care and immunotherapy, it can't go forward like this. There are millions of people who, if you can reduce the cost, if you can make it more practical, you will gain more. But who think about it? We
Yeah.
think about this. You think like this, but not many. This is our message.
Okay. Well, welcome everybody.
And you're surprised. This is what we're presenting is not strange.
No.
I tell you that he take an award of the breakthrough in medical physics United States in this year, but nobody hear about it. But we'll show it today, and
Okay.
it is part of our books, and it is chapter in our books. You 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 understand me?
I understand. Let's go then. Let's carry on.
Okay. Abba, please, you're welcome. Note. Abba. If not, Mahmoud, please start with the solar power radiotherapy. This again subject that nobody. I don't know why it is not popular.
Am I not audible?
Yes. Okay. Abba, please.
Sorry. I thought I was audible, and I was busy speaking without knowing that I'm not audible.
Yes.
Good days, colleagues, and welcome to everyone. Ahmed, wish you a quick recovery. I think from the starting point, we learned that you are sick, coughing, but despite your coughing, you are bringing the forces together. You are still organizing and attending the meeting. Thank you so much. It is a pleasure for us to participate on today's one of the third series lecture. And of course, we are talking about the roles of medical physics internationally, about how to do an image-guided radiotherapy, the role of image-guided radiotherapy in oncology, and that is a cornerstone of a modern radiotherapy in oncology. And I believe that during the course of this interaction, we will be able to hear more and learn more that will have an impact in terms of the expertise, the availability of the technology and the resources, and how can we navigate in terms of way forward. So I'm looking forward to the discussion and how can we apply that in the real world for implementing the image-guided radiotherapy safety and effectiveness in a real world, particularly low middle income country. I'm looking forward for the discussion. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Abba. And it is every one of you is a leader and chair, not me. You this series is between your hands. This record is between your hands. Diffuse it in the world, and be the ambassador and the leader of this message. These things shouldn't go like what we are now. Most of people in the world have no access to good cancer care, and it will increase in this tragic picture will worsen. No any evidence that it will improve. The gap will increase, and we repeat the same thing at all in every conference in oncotourism, conference tourism, etc. Organization, all, but the tragic picture is worsen. There should be game changing. I know that no much people will listen in the start, but with persistence and patience, they will guide and will be the leader. And I don't claim and we don't claim any leadership. Okay, Mahmoud, please start with the solar power. Hello, I am glad to be among you today. Today is the third webinar of the second series of ASCO GOIS International Webinars. We present today brainstorming notes on oncology and clinical oncology and AI. I am Ahmed Zawawi, Chair Win-Win Initiative, Chair of Board of Directors of Global Oncology as Implementing Science, GOIS, the GOU, Global Oncology University. I am founder, president of ICDOC, Experts in Cancer Without Borders, past president of AORTIC, African Organization for Research and Training in Cancer, professor of clinical oncology, South Carolina University, Ismailia, and medical founder of Al Sulaiman Radiation and Clinical Oncology Center, Port Said, Egypt. Disclosure of conflicts, none. Brainstorming notes on oncology and AI. Some thoughts to get the conversation started. What does AI mean? I suggested augmenting or additive or assisting intelligence may give meaning that AI augment human capabilities and not replacing them, rather than the term of artificial intelligence. The abbreviation AI works for all, so there will be no change in mentioning AI. Just suggestion, think about it. Reference, Chapter 6 in Approaching Global Oncology, the Win-Win Model. What do you think? We never claimed that what we present should be completely right. So we suggest to conduct an online survey to get wider scale views. AI consists of human-made devices or programs that marvelously augment the scope and execution of what was mostly planned also by humans. AI companies hire human beings personnel to delete the harmful and extremely violent content before it passed to ChatGPT. For example, an OpenAI and AI self-learning and others. I share with you this feedback from IBM. Watson, this from Irene Dankwa Molan, Deputy Chief Health Officer, IBM Watson. She wrote, Dear Ahmed, thank you for your excellent suggestion. I agree with your comments. The IBM, she is IBM. I support the use of augmented intelligence and not particularly a supporter of using artificial intelligence because of how it gets misinterpreted or misunderstood to be sort of a robot or human being with infinite capacities. These AI tools do really serve to augment the expertise of professionals who use them. I also highlighted the need for addressing ethical and social issues. The concern around ethics and AI are real. There needs to be a deliberate and thoughtful process about ethical issue such that the stakeholder and designer of advanced AI systems understand the more and ethical implication of their use. It's a very important note. I can send you the text. Surprisingly, I asked Meta AI, and the reply is, I don't have personal preference. This is AI, the Meta replies. I don't have personal preference, but I can tell you that augmenting intelligence is a popular interpretation in healthcare, emphasizing that AI is a supportive role. Your question sparked an interesting point. The term AI can be flexible, focusing on how it enhances human capabilities. Finally, Meta AI asked me, what do you think is the most fitting meaning in medicine? What are your thoughts on AI in oncology? AI role in oncology is growing in all fields of oncology: screening, diagnosis, lab, pathology, telepathology, imaging and treatment decision, and telehealth and robotic intervention. The question is, how do we keep it humane? How we keep it humane and evidence-based. The increasing roles of ICT and AI in professional cancer education and training is very important. Can AI help reduce doctor burnout and improve their quality of life? Yes, it could be if it is deal with it in a proper way. Will AI assistant lead to this killing of endoscopists and other specialties? This is article about this. AI may change job markets. We must prepare the next generation to master AI, not the other way around, to master AI. In about 20 years, 50% of all jobs will be outdated or no longer needed, and healthcare is no exception. AI is not meant to replace medical professionals, but those who use AI will probably replace those who do not. The use of AI will spare the needs and cost of salaries of still unknown numbers of human beings, yes. But it will increase the needs for more expensive human workers who are not just users of technology, but who can adapt and develop uses according to the need of their field and works. Are we prepared for that with educational programs in different fields or for the beginners and younger generation, from school students to the worker till the age of 45 or older? Would they master the AI and not the contrary? Master AI and not the contrary. With innovative vision, AI even bring forward a renaissance in the doctor-patient relationship. What do you think? In some studies show that the treatment prescribed by human being oncologists is similar or not far from the treatment prescribed by AI. But I emphasize that this is because in such cases, the clinician follows given guidelines on given data without consideration of differences between patients, even if they have the same stage of the disease. AI do the same. It just apply the given guidelines. In cancer care and in medicine in general, we stress that a human being patient is flesh, blood, variable, different sentiments, feelings, and different reaction, psychology, different pathology, different responses to treatment, and different side effects to treatments. He or she not just some shapes a number on screens. I pose a question to everyone. If you are a patient, or the patient is a person very dear to you, do you prefer your condition be managed exclusively according to decision of AI, or according or according to a human doctor who master and use AI, and who feeds you and who consider your human condition and tailor the management accordingly. What do you think? In radiotherapy, we should never account only on colored circles and curves on computers or planning systems, whatever is, or in equation on screens, but also on more human evaluation of the output of computers and AI adjustment and tailoring to every patient before and along the course of treatment and then in follow-up. That if we like to do a better value radiotherapy. Note on the study that showed a routine AI assistant may lead to loss of skills or the skilling of endoscopists. Here is the reference. We have some notes. Impact on experience. Physician, contrary to expectation, the study showed that even highly experienced clinicians who had performed over 2,000 colonoscopy were susceptible to this, showing that the effect is not limited to beginners. False positive and cognitive burden, while AI improve overall computer-aided detection system, frequently mislabel normal structure as polyps, which may contribute to a false sense of security, or conversely, create misleading visual signs. Significant decline in detection rates. A real-world multi-center observation study found that after introduction of AI, the adenoma detection rate of endoscopists during non-AI assisted colonoscopy dropped by 6%. Implication and recommendation, not a replacement. So implication, not a replacement or for training. The study emphasized AI should be viewed as a tool to support, not to replace, the skill of endoscopists. Structured training and educational policies to prevent this quiet erosion. I like the term erosion of skills. 3, intermittent use. Intermittent, rather constant use of AI may be strategy to maintain human proficiency. While AI continues to offer promising advances in improving diagnostic accuracy, this finding highlights the need for careful, evidence-based integration to avoid negative consequences on clinician of proficiency. And you, what do you think? Let us start more virtual discussion and brainstorming on AI in oncology after the webinar by sending your feedback and virtual discussion, and eventually to publish the outcome by you. The update and your feedback could be the subject of a webinar in the next series 2026-2027. Please send your feedback, suggestion, relevant topics to Professor Ahmed Zawawi, feedback ISODoc at ISODoc website, and Dr. Monica Sonyu, and this is the email. The win-win is a message of love expressed in scientific exploration and collaboration to serve the cause of affordability of better value cancer care with dignity for all, regardless of nationality and belief. We are open for all suggestions, constructive critics, collaboration, and count on your feedback. Welcome all, thank you all, and visit our website, and this is the implementing science to make cancer care affordable. A message of love for all humans via science. Thank you all. I'm sorry that I'm very sick today, so that's why my voice is slightly weak. But I hope that we did it well, but it will be much better with your feedback and hot feedback and suggestions. So for now, bye-bye, and looking for your feedback and going forward in fruitful cooperation. Thank you. Well, I would like to say that to Professor Sikora and for all of us, as you see, this topic, short topic, is not just a few minutes and goodbye. And whatever the attendance now is not, doesn't matter. But every one of you has now a lot of burning question and a lot of things to be discussed. And this is our the value of what we are doing. We are trying to make some game changing. Till now, we have till last week we have 531 colleagues registered in GOIS, and they receive regularly our messages and receive regularly our series and our articles and everything. And the number is increasing every day. Just maybe last year was 300 or something, but the number is increasing. So that is the value of what we are doing. So please, every one of you is a leader. Now, with just for this presentation alone, it carries many burning questions. It's not mine. It is yours now. And if you ask why no much people reply, because this is your roles to distribute and to disseminate and to make feedback. And as I said, you even make feedback and publish by your names. We don't claim any ownership. We open ways, just open ways. So it is just start. Now, Dr. Monica Soni, please, Mahmoud.
esteemed members and contributors of this forum for setting such a strong scientific foundation. And for those I haven't met before, I'm Dr. Monica Sonu. I'm the co-founder of Health Innovation Toolbox, and we work at the intersection of clinical workflows, product engineering, and applied AI. And this is my second session with all of you today. Today, I don't want to talk about algorithms, models, or latest AI tools that we can always do later. But instead, I want to pause with you on a much simpler but often overlooked question. This room is full of doctors, oncologists, and many of you run cancer centers, and many of you work within different sizes of cancer institutions. And I'm sure at some point, specifically with so much being talked about digital health and AI, a question quietly comes to all of your minds. Are we doing enough? Are we moving at the right pace? Are we choosing the right technologies? Or are we falling behind? So, yes, this is our topic for the day. Are our cancer centers actually ready for AI? So, over the next few minutes, I'll share very pragmatic way to think about AI readiness in your cancer centers. And this session is really not about what technology to buy or which AI tools are the best. It's all about how decision makers like you all need to think when it comes to technology adoption. Because in my experience, most challenges with AI in oncology are not technical problems; they are leadership, workflow, and decision-making problems. So let me start with showing you something with these two figures. So I want to start with this slide because it represents something that most of us in the room have seen, regardless of the geography, scale, or the resources that we work in. The image on the left side is not a poorly run cancer center. In fact, it often represents highly committed clinicians working extremely hard. What it shows is a system where clinical teams are, compensating for the gaps in the infrastructures. But unfortunately, this can create inefficiencies, cognitive overload over a period of time. And with this, your care gets, a lot of fragmentation. You have fragmented documentation. You have information which arrives late. It's in silos, and clinicians, doctors, and oncologists like you all spend a significant amount of mental energy coordinating care rather than making clinical decisions. And now, when we look at the image on the right side, we often label it as an AI enabled oncology, but it's easy to assume that the difference is advanced algorithms or the smart tools which are deployed there, but in practice, that's not what makes the real difference. The defining factor here is workflow clarity, information flows predictably, systems are interoperable, documentations are integrated, and decision points are clearly defined in this environment. So, in this environment, AI does not replace a judgment of a doctor; it supports it at a very specific moment in the clinical pathway. And I think this distinction is critical for anyone making technology decision. And all of us needs to understand here that AI does not fix a broken workflow. Uh, so we have already discussed, like, in the centers where the workflows are already fragmented, AI could add to more complexities and cognitive loads. And in the centers where the workflows are already clear, AI quietly removes the friction and it reduces the cognitive load. So that's why I always say that AI readiness starts with the workflows and not the technology. And in my experience of working with hospitals, the most important question is never which AI tool to buy. We always ask the leaders like you to look at their own clinical day and ask, like, where do decision feel rushed, or where do we have fragmented systems, or where the things get delayed, and can AI take away some of those burdens? So I'm sure in radiotherapy, planning decisions are really just, delayed because there is a lack of expertise, but it's delayed because because of the manual handoffs and waiting time, information, mismatch, etc. So we have to first, like, before taking any such decision on making the shift, we have to first change our mindset from, this technology first mindset to workflow first approach. And if we go by the basic fundamentals, I think the impact is going to be different. We will see in other slides coming up. So, um, when we talk about AI adoption in the cancer center, one of the most common misunderstanding I see is the assumption that, buying a system, buying an AI, is, it's like it's we procured it and it's just ready to use. Okay. And we often forget that procurement is just the starting point, or a decision is just the starting point. And we have worked with centers that have invested in multiple AI tools, yet very little had changed in their daily experience at the hospitals. So a system can be technically integrated with other systems in the hospitals like EMR, EHR, PAC systems, but that does not guarantee or mean that it's adopted fully. So we have seen tools that were well integrated on papers, yet doctors and other healthcare professionals, they avoided them on a busy day because they added steps, maybe they slowed their decisions. And in my experience, adoption happens only when the tool reduces the friction, okay, not just merely connects the system. And I think trust is perhaps the most underestimated part of the readiness. Okay, so doctors don't trust any tool which is on their platter because they are labeled as an AI or advanced, but they trust them when they understand what exactly the tool does, and when it helps consistently, or they know that they can question these tools or override it. So in several of implementations that we have supported, real adoptions only began after the clinical teams were involved in shaping how and when the tools were used, and not just with the trainings or showing them fancy dashboards. So when we say buying AI is not the same as being ready for the AI. So what we really means is readiness shows up not how advanced the technology or the tools look, but whether the healthcare teams feels clearer and care is more smoother in that way. So yes, with this, let's move on to the next slide. So this matrix is very practical way to understand basically why some cancer centers struggles with AI, even after they have spent millions of dollars. So we have just taken two parameters, that's investment and workflow clarity. So if we see top left quadrant, these centers with high AI spend, but they have very low workflow clarity, and this is where I see most frustrations, because they have multiple tools in place but they operate in silos. Okay, clinicians are asked to probably log in from different systems, fatigue increases, alerts increases, and things becomes harder for them on a day-to-day basis. And this is what exactly a fragmented AI looks like. It's expensive, it's well intentioned, but unfortunately wasteful because the underlying workforce was never fixed. Coming to the bottom left quadrant is, like, I would say it's more honest. These centers have low digital investment and low workflow clarity, and they're not pretending to be advanced, and then they're not yet ready also. So this kind of centers, the care heavily depends on individual efforts, experiences, etc. And there also lies an opportunity. This is where workflow design needs to start before any serious technology adoption even to think about it. Let us look at the bottom right quadrant. These centers often surprise people. They haven't spent heavily on AI, but their workflows are so clear. Their informations are organized, their responsibilities are defined, and teams communicated very well. And they are digitally, I could say, they are digitally very prudent. And when these kind of centers adopt AI or digital, they tend to move quickly and safely because the foundation is already in place. And finally, the top right quadrant, where what we refer to as AI ready, and these centers combine the investment with clarity. AI works here not because it is advanced, but because it's placed deliberately into the workflows that already make sense. So clinicians and doctors knows when to rely on it, when to question it, and when to ignore it. So yes, this matrix shows that AI readiness is not about moving upward and spending more and more into the technology. It's all about moving to the to the right direction by improving workflow clarity. So as I said earlier, centers that focus on this shifts are the ones that sees sustained impact. Then often this question comes into the mind, like, what to fix first, whether it's the process, people, data, technology. So I think there is a way to it. The first thing to fix is process, because by process I don't mean exactly like paperwork, flow charts, etc. It's all about how patient moves from your care system, from diagnosis to treatment, and how information flows between the teams. Okay, where exactly the delays happen, when the clinicians feel the most friction. So until that is clear, introducing AI simply automates confusion, and centers that take the time to simplify and stabilize the workflow, they can see the immediate benefits even before the AI is introduced. The second is fixing people, because every meaningful technology change in healthcare needs clear ownership. That means identifying who's clinically responsible for the workflow, who decide when to trust a system, and who has the authority to override it. And when AI is introduced without clinical ownership, it 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 it's it it's a wasteful effort. Okay, and only after these two we come to data. Okay, because many hospitals believe that they need perfect data before they can even move forward, but in practice what they need is a relevant data, kind of data that reflects their patient population, their clinical practices, their workflows, etc. And finally we come to the technology. Okay, when the processes are clear, people are aligned, and data is fit for purpose, technology becomes much easier and coherent. And in those situations, AI doesn't feel like disruption or heavy. It just fits quietly. So, what I have seen consistently, that centers or the health centers that follow this order move steadily and safely towards AI readiness. And whereas the centers that reverse the order spends more, they struggle longer and often lose clinical trust along the way. So, with this, finally, I want you all to leave with a simple question. And I would encourage you all not to answer it quickly. You can take your time, but just answer it for yourself. So, my question to you all is, if the AI or the digital system in your center went off tomorrow morning, not for a week, but just for a day, would your team still know exactly what to do? Would care continue safely, or would people be searching for information, workarounds, or answer? So I would say there is no right or wrong responses to this. Centers of every size, small units, mid-size hospitals, to large tertiary centers, fall at different points. So what matters is recognizing where you truly are without judgment or urgency. So if your answer to my question is yes, it usually means your workflows are clear. Your team understands their roles. The technology is just supporting the care, rather than driving it. And those hospitals and those healthcare centers, cancer centers, are often very closer to AI readiness than they even realize. So, and if your answer is no, it doesn't mean that anything has failed or fallen behind. It simply means that opportunity lies in first strengthening workflows before adding more technology. And in fact, many of most successful AI journeys I have seen began with this realization. So the question isn't meant to create an anxiety or pressure, it's meant to create a dialogue, a clarity. And that's really the idea I would like to leave you all with today. So, yes, with this, thank you for taking the time to think through this with me today. And I know every cancer center represented here is working under real constraints. They are working with real patients and real pressure. My intention today was not to offer any answer, but to share a way of thinking that I have found helpful by working alongside clinical teams for the past 18 years of my career. And I think the best way to understand and adopt technology is to understand everything around it first, rather than discussing technology first. And as I said, there is no single right pace and no one definition of being ahead when it comes to technology adoption. What matters most is clarity, the clarity of workflow, the clarity of roles, the clarity of decisions. And I'm, as always, very grateful for the opportunity to be part of this conversation with all of you. And I truly appreciate your time and attention. And once again, my heartfelt thanks to the entire ASCO GOIS community. It's a privilege to contribute to the win-win vision. And I hope you found this session meaningful. And I look forward to continuing this journey with all of you. Thank you. Bye-bye. Good night.
Thank you very much, Dr. Monica Sonio. And as I said, this valuable things is not just for few minutes talk and goodbye, like many webinars. It is recorded, and you will receive the records. And I hope that every one of you, Monica, for example, you diffuse this to your colleagues and ask your colleagues to diffuse it, and you receive feedback. We carry a message here. So the message is not just come but by sending a few words and goodbye.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Professor Al-Zawawi and Professor Sikora and all the esteemed guests here. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you. Yeah.
All of us, your leaders, are leaders, surely under the co-chair of Professor Kiro Sikora, my old friend and the great professor. Now, the next topic is about solar power radiotherapy. How many in conference, in ASCO, in ESMO, in ASTRO, in ISTRO, and ask about, heard about solar power radiotherapy? And if they heard, they don't know, most of us, that it is working and it is practiced, and there are examples. We are not announcing or promoting for solar power radiotherapy, by the way, but we search for any possible solution that can work or can't work, just to search for approaches that can sometimes solve a problem, like the problem of inefficiency of electricity in some African country, in some Latin American country, in some Southeast Asia. So we search for any possible solution. Yes, it may be not popular. So no, if we announce for one lecture and my comment on this, maybe it is not attractive to hear, but it is needed. It is needed. So our role is to disseminate this approach to search for solution and not just surrender to say it's impossible. It is repeating things. It is the challenge is too big. We can do nothing. So. Please, Mahmoud, the first notes about solar power radiotherapy. Hello, I'm glad to be among you today to present the win-win initiative note on solar power radiotherapy that will be presented by Ralph Muller and Holger Fitz. Today is the third webinar of the second series of ASCO GOIS International Webinars. I am Ahmed El-Zawawi, Chair Win-Win Initiative, Chair Board of Directors Global Oncology Implementing Science, GOIU, part of GOIU, and Founder President ISODOC Experts Cancer Without Borders, Past President of Aortic African Organization for Research and Training in Cancer, Professor of Clinical Oncology at South Carolina University, Ismailia, and medical founder of Al-Salman Radiation Oncology and Clinical Oncology Center, Port Said, Egypt. Disclosure of conflicts, none. Well, in some African countries and other low-middle income countries, one of the problem is the interruption to or the inefficiency of electricity supply. It is a big problem. This hinders the establishment of radiation oncology units. Well, one proposal is to use solar power radiotherapy. It's one of the proposals. It could also be an energy supply source for neighboring departments or locations. This could be an option in some business models to produce some income that serve in making establishment of radiotherapy unit more cost effective, even in such difficult situation. The win-win movement, in the win-win movement, we don't impose any particular proposal or source solution for the stakeholder or decision makers, but we call for continuous search for smart approaches. We stress the concept that implies that as far as possible, whatever the challenges, obstacles, or difficulties, the stakeholders should not surrender easily to the saying, good quality radiotherapy is impossible to establish in this region. Searching for solutions is a must. Here, reference is a book, our book. One of our book is Approaching Global Oncology, the Win-Win Model. This chapter 6, where and here is the link. For information about solar power radiotherapy, the head of medical physics, Holger Fitz. This is his email. And Dr. Ralph Muller Polizu, and this is his email. You can send to us, and we can send for you any information about them, and then you contact them. Feel free. They asked for this. Once again, implementing science to make cancer care affordable. This is a message of love for all humans via science. Thank you all. Well, thank you all. Please, Mahmoud, now the presentation of Ralph and Holger Fields, and you can contact them directly. They'll be happy with this. If you need this information about solar power radiotherapy, we are not announcing for any special technique, but we search here and there to find something, even if it is not popular, and even you will not find Kirsikora, much people will attend, but they will attend after and they will hear. And this is our role to make them hear. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, dear audience, I'm pleased to present our contribution on solar-powered radiotherapy, which we believe is a win-win-win opportunity for approaching global oncology. My name is Ralf Müller-Polyso, and I'm presenting on behalf of my co-author, Holger Wirtz. First, I want to mention that we have no conflict of interest. Our contribution results purely from personal belief. I would like to briefly introduce ourselves. My co-author Holger Wirtz is head of medical physics of the Radiotherapy Center Singen-Friedrichshafen in Germany, part of Evidia Group. He has more than 30 years of experience in his profession. He holds a physical and biomedical engineering degree of Aachen University. Holger operates a photovoltaic system on the roof of his radiotherapy center. My name is Ralf Müller-Polyso. I'm responsible for marketing at LAP. I have an academic background on electrical engineering and a PhD studies in information systems. In my previous job, I worked for an APC contractor in the field of renewable energies. We installed more than 20 megawatt of photovoltaic power. First, I will introduce the subject area and our motivation before speaking about radiotherapy and photovoltaics in Section 2. In Section 3, we will discuss specific photovoltaic implementations. Section 4 is dedicated to our win-win-win proposal. I will close with our call to action for intensive collaboration in Section 5. In 2015, world leaders agreed on a common agenda called Transforming Our World, the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, with its 17 Sustainability Development Goals. However, only a few years remain to fulfill the 17 goals defined to create a better world by 2030. Many leading radiotherapy companies reference these goals in their annual reports and company strategies. This is because many of the goals and corresponding targets relate to the challenge and minimum requirements for radiotherapy in the Global South. 3 goals stand out in particular. Goal number 3, concerning good health and well-being. Goal number 7, concerning affordable and clean energy, and goal number 9, concerning industry, innovation and infrastructure. The 3 sustainability goals guide us in formalizing our proposed partnership to accelerate solar-powered radiotherapy in global oncology. Some of the defined targets of the Sustainable Development Goals are directly or indirectly linked to radiotherapy practice. Reducing mortality from non-communicable diseases and achieving universal health coverage directly implies the global fight against cancer, considering the 10 million people dying of cancer every year. But also supporting the health workforce in developing countries is, as we know, a challenge for radiation therapy, which requires well-trained experts in several professions. Another challenge is the shift to affordable, reliable and clean energy in a world where resources are increasingly limited and climate change is becoming more visible. Universal access to information and communications technologies, finally, expresses our hope to achieve progress through innovative technologies. According to the latest analysis, certain progress in fulfilling the development goals and corresponding targets has been achieved. The Sustainable Development Goals Report 2022 provides a global overview using the latest available data and estimates. However, Antonio Guterres expressed it as follows: We must rise higher to rescue the Sustainable Development Goals and stay true to our promise of a world of peace, dignity, and prosperity on a healthy planet. I will continue with section 2. Pioneering inventions shaped the development of radiotherapy over decades. Electrification was a prerequisite for X-ray tubes and modern linear accelerators. Computerization and increased processing power enabled advanced imaging and complex radiation planning. Today's radiotherapy is based on integrated systems and information communication technologies. For modern radiotherapy, electrical energy is a prerequisite. Franco et al. Present a comprehensive review of sustainable energy sources and technologies for healthcare facilities in the Global South. They estimate the energy needs, analyze different technologies, and present implementation projects. According to their analysis, access to stable electricity is identified as the main energy challenge for healthcare facilities in the Global South. Unstable electricity, including power outages and voltage surges, cause damage to medical devices. They conclude that the demand for electricity for healthcare facilities can be satisfied or reduced using renewable energy sources. Photovoltaic is a green energy source that combines many advantages. The technology is mature, robust, scalable, almost maintenance-free, and can be installed by local workforce. The investment costs have declined due to mass production, while the operational cost over the typical lifetime of 20 to 25 years is low. Furthermore, photovoltaic technology is flexible and can be deployed in hybrid systems, including wind turbines, battery storage, and fuel-based support generators. Finally, PV systems can be realized as independent off-grid or grid-connected systems. The overall photovoltaic capacity installed worldwide is constantly rising according to the figures reported by the International Renewable Energy Agency for both off-grid and grid-connected systems. The Global Solar Atlas, provided free of charge by the World Bank Group, can be used to analyze sun irradiation and anticipated photovoltaic electricity production for locations worldwide. It shows that in many countries photovoltaic energy is a preferred choice to support radiotherapy practice. The figure shows a direct comparison of the expected photovoltaic output in relation to radiotherapy availability according to the direct database. It shows that electricity production of more than 4 kWh per installed kilowatt peak photovoltaic power is possible in many regions currently underserved with radiotherapy. The free-of-charge Global Solar Atlas also provides detailed country fact sheets that provide information supporting decision-making for photovoltaic systems. I show here exemplary the country fact sheet of Tanzania without going into further details. Installation-specific conditions must be considered for photovoltaic projects. The available space, roof orientation, shadow obstacles, and distance to the grid network influence the electricity output and the photovoltaic system cost. Also, structural analysis of roofs must be performed in many cases due to the weight and wind loads of photovoltaic installations. Thus, professional photovoltaic system planning is required, electrical and mechanical. I will continue with section 3, photovoltaic implementation. A variety of tools are available for photovoltaic system planning. One easy-to-use and free-of-charge tool is the web-based Sunny design from SMA Solar Technology. SMA is a known manufacturer of photovoltaic DC to AC inverters. This example shows the typical planning steps for a photovoltaic system that one can perform using planning tools. The example shows a photovoltaic system of 99 kilowatt peak that is installed at the LAP laser headquarters in Germany. First, project details are defined, such as the location and the corresponding sun irradiation. The building details, such as roof space and inclination, as well as the nearest grid connection point, define the project options and cost. Afterwards, the photovoltaic system is mechanically and electrically dimensioned in terms of the mounting system, photovoltaic modules, inverter and cabling. Electrical storage systems must be defined for off-grid systems based on electricity consumption profiles and self-consumption profiles. Finally, profitability analysis is performed based on system costs and financial and non-financial goals. Holger Wirtz installed already in 2011 a grid-connected photovoltaic system on the roof of his radiation therapy center in Germany. At peak times, up to 550 kilowatts per day can be produced by the system, enough to power the 2 Linacs and 1 CT. The rooftop system requires about 400 square meters and can supply the radiotherapy center with energy on sunny days. During the year, about 30% of the practice required energy is covered by photovoltaic power. At peak times, when the sun is shining, 550 kilowatts per day can be generated, which is enough to cover the center's needs. The system saves about 36 tons of CO2 emissions every year. Based on studies, a radiotherapy center near the equator requires a photovoltaic system of approximately 150 kilowatt peak and a well-designed energy storage. The photovoltaic field has a size of approximately 1,500 square meters. Overall, a payback time of the investment of 5 years can be achieved. Introducing energy efficiency measures, such as replacing light bulbs with LED, would have further positive impact. I will continue with section 4. The development goals provide a global framework that international companies apply to their corporate sustainability and responsibility activities. Among these companies are many leading manufacturers of photovoltaic, ICT and radiotherapy equipment. The development goal 17 challenges us to revitalize the global partnership for sustainable development. Holger Wirtz and I believe a true win-win-win partnership for solar-powered radiotherapy can be created based on mutual interest. Incorporating non-profit organizations can further strengthen the partnership to accelerate radiotherapy in the Global South. The table shown presents an overview of common and special contributions and benefits for companies participating in such a win-win-win partnership. We believe that the win-win-win partnership for solar-powered radiotherapy in the Global South can succeed considering the common and special interests of the involved stakeholders. We believe it is less a question of technology, but rather a matter of developing the right partnership model. The challenges are great and increasing, but so will also be the strengths of the partner companies and their resources. I want to close our lecture with the following call to action. With our contribution, we launch a call on international companies to build win-win-win partnerships in the interest of supporting global oncology. We are doing our utmost to promote this partnership. Thank you very much for your attention. For any questions, please don't hesitate to connect with us on LinkedIn. Thank you very much.
Well, you have their emails, and if you can't join them, tell us and we make you join them if you need more information. And I think it's very important to search for solutions. Sometimes, in some condition, this solution could solve a problem for thousands and thousands of patients who couldn't get radiotherapy because the problem of the problem of local electricity inefficiency or interruption or and you can, as you see, this solution is not ours. We are not promoting for it. We are searching for solution everywhere. This solution, the investment come to you back after some years, and it make not only working the accelerators, but even the CT and ICT, and even could be more. So it is one of solutions of many solutions, not the ordinary saying repeated things in congresses and conferences, the same thing, the same problem, and we face that the gap in between the available and the affordable treatment and for the available treatment and the needed treatment is widening and continue to widen. And we repeat the same thing in Congress, conference, oncotourism, organization, everything. We repeat the same thing and we make things even complicated with new technology, without searching how to solve, how to apply them. So we should do this. And this is your role, all of you, not mine. I am just one of you. I'm just one of you. Next.
Hello, my name is Eric Ford. I'm a medical physicist and a professor at the University of Washington in Seattle. I'm going to describe a project my team and I are involved in. This is to deliver low-cost radiotherapy devices for cancer treatment. So if you don't know what radiation therapy is, let me stop for a minute and explain that, and then I'm going to talk about the device. All right, so here we go. So here's a case study. Here's a patient with a lesion from metastatic cancer in the vertebral body. You can see it here. This is very painful for this patient, but we can treat this with radiation. So here's a treatment, 8th grade, delivered over 3 days, and this patient leaves and the pain will be gone. So this is a palliative treatment, not meant to cure the patient, but it avoids all the problems associated with the delivery of a narcotic or an opioid for this patient. Very common use of radiation. Here's another way we use it. Treating this patient who has head and neck cancer, treating the tumor volumes here, staying away from the cord and staying away from the salivary gland, which preserves salivary function and dietary status. So this can be delivered in a very cost-effective way and avoid toxicities. So these are the main advantages. Non-invasive, allows sparing of organs, low risk of toxicity, and overall the costs are low once you're going with radiotherapy. It should be utilized according to various studies at a very high rate. And you look at cancers that are represented in low middle income countries, and you see the utilization rate should be around 80% or so. That's how we use it when the technology is available. But the access is not good across the globe. There are many machines in North America, almost 4,000, but in the continent of Africa, there are about 300 such machines. And per population, the numbers are also not good. In addition to that, there are staffing needs, and here you'll see the great undersupply of medical physicists. It's one of the job description of people that are needed to run and control these devices. So this drives the access to technology, the upfront capital costs, the staff availability, the reliability, and you see that play out here. In low-income countries, the equipment is a big percentage of the cost. Also, the staff, even if the salaries are available, the staff is often not available. So that brings us to the requirements. We need devices that are reliable, simple, efficient, and as a result have reduced staffing requirements. However, They also need to be able to deliver high precision radiation therapy. The devices we have now use many moving parts, lots of equipment that can break down. So this is the crux of our project. This is something that's funded by the National Cancer Institute under the Affordable Cancer Technology Program. And our project is partnership with the All India Institute of Medical Sciences in New Delhi and a commercial partner, Panacea Medical Technologies in Bangalore, India. We're designing a system that's novel. It's a ring-based compensator system to deliver intensity modulated radiation therapy. It works by using printed plastic shells, 3D printed, and these shells are then filled with tungsten beads, which are reusable. The radiation beam goes through this, and it's attenuated just where it needs to be attenuated, and it delivers a precise radiation dose. These are placed in a ring around the patient, and you treat through each of these compensators, which is an extremely efficient way to do this. We've run some simulations. This is a plan of a patient actually treated on a current radiotherapy device in the clinic, and this is our device in the bottom, and you can see you achieve the same kind of sparing that you do in the clinic. But what's interesting is this is on the bottom, this is done with a cobalt-60 beam, and yet the treatment times are very short. So this has never been possible before, and it's done with very few moving parts, very simple device that should provide increased access to this really important technology. All right, with that, I'd like to thank you. I look forward to further discussions that we'll have around this soon. Thank you.
I would like to say that thank you, Eric Ford, Professor Eric Ford. And I would like to say also that this invention had the hour of breakthrough in medical physics in that year. And it's published and everything. But did you hear about it? Ask your colleagues. Ask your thousands of colleagues everywhere in the world. Did you hear about it? It saves cost, saves time. It can make radiotherapy more applicable with this technology without much expensive facilities. It can make things cost effective, but it's apparently that these things are not popular. But the mistake is on us because we don't disseminate these messages. Our patients need treatment available and affordable. And this not come by talks, by conferences, by wishes, by plans like the plan 2020, 25 by 25, which is we are now 26, but is not realized the plans of the WHO and others and UN reduce 25% of mortality by 25. Now we're 26. Nothing happened. And before it was 20 by 20, and before it was 15 by 15, but nothing happened. Many articles in high impact journal, in conference, but nothing happened because there is a need for game changing in global oncology. We are all responsible, and the are responsible as I mean oncologists, scientists, to adopt and to raise the flag for focus research and studies and techniques and the treatment on how to increase affordability of better value cancer care via scientific approach, via science, because we are not policymakers, we are scientists. This is our roles. Okay. This very interesting article, Abba. I hope that you send this video for all your colleagues everywhere, not only in Africa. And it is a shame that nobody hear about it. IMRT even with cobalt. You imagine this. And it is the device itself is fabricated in India. I remember that Eric Ford asked one of his assistant. She called me till 4 o'clock in the morning, and he asked that it is really will be of value. He asked many, not I'm sure that not asked me only, but this is his assistant. She called me once and twice till 4 o'clock in the morning. But because interesting discussion, her role was she will send her to India to fabricate this device, and tell me finally. It is will be beneficial to go. She said, yes, please go. And it's fabricated. And I don't claim any praise. He asked many, surely not me. He's the inventor, and any inventor ask many surrounding people, even any simple student or something, and to ask his view, even ask lay people to ask his opinion. So I asked that, please go to India and fabricate it. And it is fabricated and took a hour. I don't see it widespread. This is our role. Contact him. I am not the inventor. And now for another invention, and it is shameful also that it is not spread and disseminated. It is published in our book, in our books and our article also. Yes, please, Mahmoud, the next one.
This project is born out of many years of collaboration with Varian Medical Systems. Thank you, Dow, wherever you are. Varian-funded projects as well as NCI-funded projects to do some of this research that I'm going to show you. So beginning with radiation therapy, just a brief primer. Dow showed some images earlier of a clinical linear accelerator. That's what this is right here. And this is kind of the workhorse of radiation therapy. And so I wanted to give a little tour of what's going on here. First of all, there's the radiation delivery device itself, which is coming out of here. There are image guidance tools, including low energy and high energy X-rays. And offline in another room altogether, there's a whole treatment planning platform and activity that's going on. And each of these components can be very expensive and time intensive and training intensive. And in each of these areas, there's opportunity for developing low-cost solutions. And so I believe right after this talk, Dr. Eric Ford will be talking about the radiation delivery side, and tomorrow Lawrence Court will be talking about the treatment planning work that he has done. And so for this talk, I'm going to focus only on the image guidance piece and how to improve that, hopefully. So what is image guidance in radiation therapy? Let's see if this will work. So here, apologies, Dow, for stealing your graphic. Here is a video showing an image-guided radiation therapy treatment. So here you see the low-energy X-ray tube there swinging around here, and here comes the low-energy X-ray beam, and here's a flat panel detector. And so capturing X-ray projections from 360 degrees as the gantry moves around, these can then be reconstructed, and the volumes, the treatment volumes can be visualized, and the physician or therapist can line the patient up and then can move the treatment couch to make sure that the tumor is in the right place, and so the treatment can proceed safely. All right, let's get out of there. Okay. So is this important? Is this image guidance necessary? Well, it's been demonstrated that image guidance can save lives and reduce toxicities. On the left here, you can see the mistakes or the setup errors that can occur without image guidance. on the order of several centimeters. And on the right, when you incorporate online image guidance, you reduce those to the level of millimeters. And what does this increased precision mean? Well, it translates to fewer toxicities in the patients, fewer marginal misses, so hopefully less incidence of local recurrence. And then it allows the clinicians to perform dose escalation, more radiation dose for the tumor in these high dose, fewer fraction treatments, which provide really much better outcomes. So while this image guidance is really important, it's not consistently available or used in all settings. Some impediments include the cost of this equipment, as well as the service required for this equipment and training to use it. So for example, here you can see if this is a linear accelerator and you've got your source here and your panel here, you also have an X-ray generator being used to drive this X-ray source, probably water cooled, so you've got some water pumping action. You've got your acquisition hardware in another room. And so you have all these different components. These are on these robotic arms that I showed in that video. And if any one of these has an issue, then your image guidance is down. And the consequences of that could be unsafe or less effective treatments and perhaps extended downtime, and that translates into the patient care. So should we remove the kilovoltage imager, those arms that extend out, and it's almost like moving back in time to 2 decades ago when all we used was this a megavoltage imager, so using the high energy treatment beam for our imaging. Well, let's examine this. One, what are some consequences of this? Well, you would reduce the purchase costs of the device, reduce the service costs, as I just explained, potentially reducing downtime, and reduce some infrastructure requirements needed to house all that other equipment. So what are the benefits, clinical benefits of this, using this beam, the MV beam? Well, you'd have improved penetration for thicker anatomy. You could have reduced beam hardening and metal artifacts, and better HU or Hounsfield unit accuracy for adaptive radiation therapy procedures. However, there are some key technical challenges, including the physics of these MV X-rays, and the detector itself has some key limitations. So one approach that I'm going to be discussing here today is to use a lower energy beam, so to overcome some of those physics issues. And I'll talk about the design and development and testing of a high energy, a high efficiency imager that we've performed with Varian Medical Systems. And that's this right down here. So the current MV imager, just to give you a brief tour of it, is composed of 3 layers. One, a copper filter, followed by a scintillator, which turns the X-rays into optical light, which can then be absorbed by this photon detector array here, which is not unlike the camera on your phone. So this design is roughly 2 decades old and hasn't really changed much in that time period. And it's generally a low efficiency, so 1 to 1.5% at these high energy beams. So what would these cone beam CT images look like with this detector? So with a current detector, and this is what an acquisition would look like. So here you see rotating around now, instead of using these arms, you're using the treatment beam itself, and you're capturing the output here in this panel. And so this is what it would look like with a current imager. This is just a contrast phantom, which is used to test what different materials of different densities would look like. And so at the same radiation dose, this is the current imager, which you can see is very noisy, and you're missing a lot of low density objects, which could be important in patients. And this is what the KV, the current standard KV, would look like, which you can see has much less noise, and you can identify these low density objects. So it seems like there's work to be done, and that's why many people have concluded that the current MV imager is just not sufficient for clinical image guidance. Oops, let's move on here. So one step in this direction that we've taken is to design a prototype for layer design. Now this is just taking the standard detector that I just described and adding 3 more of the same layers on it. And what this does is, by adding these other layers, you're capturing 4 times as much of the radiation. So you can capture this either the same image with 4 times less dose, or you can get better images with the same dose. And this is a device that has been built by Varian, and we have the prototype here across the street in our clinic, and we're able to mount it on our linear accelerators here. And so what do these images look like? So again, here's the standard imager here, and now we're looking at a lower energy, which is available on our clinical linear accelerators, 2.5 MV, and you can see that it's noisy, and it's hard to identify some of these low-density objects. Now with our novel multi-layer imager here in the middle, this is all at the same dose levels. Now it's much less noisy, and you can start to identify some of these low-density objects. However, we're still not quite at the level of the KV cone beam CT, but we're definitely much closer, and we're getting there. This is what it would look like this is an anthropomorphic pelvis, so this is designed to look like a human anatomy, and you can see with a standard imager, it's quite noisy, and with many artifacts surrounding the bone here. However, with a new imager, it's much cleaned up, and you can see the anatomy much better. So what other fun things can you do with this detector? Well, because it has 4 layers, and each 4th layer can be read out independently, and each layer has a copper filter above it, we recognize that each layer is actually seeing a different part of the spectrum of this MV beam that's coming in. The MV beam coming in is composed of photons of many different energies, and each layer is seeing a different part of that spectrum. And by doing some weighting of the images from each layer, you can start to do some things like identifying certain materials and then bringing them to the fore. For example, here, this is a pelvis phantom with implanted gold markers, which we often use in patients, and you can see that they're very difficult to detect with a standard imager. However, because they're gold and we know they're gold, we can apply a weighting scheme here to bring out the gold, which has a different density than the tissue and the bone, and we can now identify the markers much more clearly. Here you can see them zoomed in here, and this is looking from the front, and this is looking from the side. And so by employing this multi-energy imaging on the same detector, we can start to do some interesting things, improving the imaging in a way that we couldn't do with KV imaging. We're also looking at some other alternatives, including low-cost materials, like scintillating glass, and this is something we published earlier this year. Again, this is still work with Varian. Using a pixelated scintillating glass, it's 6 times more efficient than that single layer that I described earlier. And so now, again, looking at the standard imager here, very noisy, again, can't see these low-density objects. And now with the LKH5, much less noisy, and you really can start to see these objects. And you see that with this new scintillating material, we're getting very close to the KV cone beam. Well, now that we have these 2 alternatives, why not put them together, right? So we have our standard imager, which is GOS, which is low efficiency but high resolution, and that LKH5 I described, which is high efficiency but low resolution. If you put them together on the same panel, then you get the best of both worlds. You can get high resolution, high efficiency, which translates to lower dose imager, and that's something we're investigating right now. Some additional MV imaging applications that I'm not really going to talk about today, but again, this is work over the past, say, 15 plus years with Varian, is using in-treatment verification. Here you can see we can identify a lung tumor in real time and track it. And once you do know where it is, then you can apply tumor tracking, so you can follow the tumor in real time. This technology can also be used for quality assurance, capturing the exit radiation so you know what you treated, and then you can translate that to make sure that you have the highest quality treatment. And then you can use that information as well to perform adaptive radiotherapy so that each treatment day you know how much dose you're giving, and then you can change your plan to make sure that at the end you arrive at the dose distribution that you had planned for. So while this is the win-win session, I really see this as a win-win win scenario. My apologies. So involving industry, the local cancer centers, and then the patients themselves. For industry, you have reduced manufacturing costs, a simpler system, potentially the possibility of selling more units. For the cancer centers, that reduced manufacturing costs could be passed on to them, as well as reduced service costs and reduced space requirements, but with the same functionality is what we're going for here. We want the same functionality because we want the same ability to treat precisely for the patients. And so for the patients, you have greater machine access. If you have less downtime, you have that precision medicine, and that will all translate into better outcomes. So with that, I'd like to acknowledge all the people here who have worked on this project, as well as our partners with Varian, the NIH, NCI for their funding, and Varian for their support. Thank you.
Well, this is another one of many that we will try to disseminate. And this technique is present and even is under the promotion of Varian. And when you, if you notice in the start of the session, he say, Dow is our very dear friend, Mr. Dow Wilson, who was the president, CEO of Varian, and this invention was done with his support and support of many NIH and others. So you can contact directly Eric Rosberbico, Professor Rosberbico in Harvard, or contact us. And if you would like to visit our chapter, there is chapter in some of our books by him, and with more explanation and contact. It's very interesting how to do image-guided radiotherapy with more simpler, not simpler, nothing simple, but with more practical, lower cost, and with many advantage to all, to the center, to patients, to even to industry. I know that these things is not very what's more popular, but this should be popular by you. You are the messenger for this. After we should hear from the perspective of industries. So we will hear now from the Chief Medical Officer of Varian, Siemens Healthineers, and we'll hear from him. This is industry speaking, but we should hear what should hear from all the perspective of all. Okay, Mahmoud, please.
There was a landmark paper that was published in the Lancet Oncology back in 2015. And what the authors showed was that there is going to be a tremendous gap in terms of the number of people that will need cancer therapy, in particular radiotherapy. That burden is expected to rise to 25 million by 2030. And in order to accomplish this, in order to accomplish the actual eradication of disease, we would need nearly 20,000 more linear accelerators. We would need over 45,000 radiation oncologists and nearly 40,000 medical physicists to, breach that gap. This is a daunting task. And some of the 5 key areas that this paper highlighted was that, planning for radiation needs to be dramatically increased, capacity needs to be increased, training needs to be increased, investment needs to be increased, and it needs to become more affordable. These are all things that we've taken into account as we think about our broadening portfolio. In fact, the authors showed that by not investing into radiation therapy, it actually will cost a government. It'll cost a society. Because if you don't have these tools, these cancer patients end up developing metastatic disease. They become a tremendous burden to emergency rooms, to families, the pain and suffering that goes along with it, the inability for these individuals to become productive citizens in the community and add to a nation's GDP is all impacted in their analysis. So it actually costs money by not investing in cancer therapy. Now, that's just one piece of it. The other aspect is that we cannot train enough clinicians to meet this gap. As a result, we have to work harder on the technology side to actually bring automation, efficiency, cost effectiveness into these centers. AI and other novel technologies will be necessary in order to bridge this gap and address the growing cancer burden. Some of the things that we've been doing, for example, is we have a large initiative that is, we call it going from 2 weeks to 2 hours. So we can take a process that often takes 2 weeks or more. In some countries, it can take several weeks for a cancer patient to be seen in consultation. But even after being seen in consultation, the typical process would then involve something called a radiation simulation, where we're actually taking images of a patient in the treatment position. And then we actually have to map out that area, figure out where the cancer is, what needs to be treated, and then how do we deliver that safely? That process currently in a typical center is roughly a 2-week process. Now, obviously, there'll be certain emergencies that can be done quicker, and then some cases that are less urgent that take longer. But in general, it's about 2 weeks. Now, what if we could bring that down to 2 hours? So this is some of the technology that we're working on right now that actually makes that a possibility. And in low and middle income countries, especially, patients are traveling in large distances in order to come to see an oncologist. And if they were to go back and forth for several weeks, that can be burdensome and you can lose patients to follow-up. Whereas if the patient could just come, be seen in their consultation and start treatment the same day, that allows for better continuity of care and reduces the likelihood of a patient not being compliant with their therapies. Now, that's just one of many different examples of how we can impact patient care everywhere. Now, these technologies require quite a bit of sophistication in terms of the hardware and software, but not necessarily at a higher cost when we look at the impact on a per patient basis. Now, this was just one area that I highlighted, but the portfolio is quite large within our Health and Ears organization. We have tools that are involved in screening and early detection, such as the use of imaging, whether it's mammogram or low-dose CT for lung cancer. We have tools that can make the reads more efficient. Software can now detect lesions in the lung or lesions on a mammogram more efficiently and with higher reproducibility. There is also this option for us to do diagnosis and help with decision support. We have a robust laboratory business along with our biomarkers and other biopsy solutions. We have MRI, spectroscopy, other image-guided therapies for surgery and radiation, and also interventional radiology. We also have tools that allow us to monitor the patient outcomes throughout a course of therapy. Now, I'd like to highlight a couple of case studies. In Nigeria, for example, this past December, we signed a memorandum of understanding with the Nigerian Sovereign Investment Authority. This includes a commitment on both sides to invest in capacity building to ensure that there is a workforce able to deliver quality cancer care and to deploy solutions that provide an adequate patient pathway from diagnosis to survivorship. We are forming a strategy partnership through Varian, which will assist in upgrading the existing cancer centers through the introduction of digital technologies and AI. And we will also support the establishment of these new cancer centers designed to address human gaps and provide services including training, education, and staffing. This will be the first of its kind in this hub and spoke cancer network in Nigeria, expanding radiotherapy services to the new states that currently lack access. Now, we also have another program that we're doing in the Philippines, and this is with AC Health. And this is another example where we're very proud to have a partnership with Ayala Health Holdings or AC Health to develop and operate the first comprehensive cancer specialty hospital in the country. This is a 100-bed facility. We'll be providing access to world-class care and charting the course of cancer care through the entire country. We are starting to think outside of the box, not just to be an equipment vendor, but also be a partner in solving the cancer burden. We're bringing clinical care services, on-site and virtual training, best practices across the entire continuum. This is the new type of innovation that we're talking about, not just the hardware and software, but end-to-end partnership for our customers. Now, we're not going to stop there. You know, as highlighted earlier, we have a growing global cancer burden that is rising, and we need to innovate harder and faster in order to bridge those gaps. So we have strategies looking at digital pathology, exploring cancer decision support tools, looking at biomarkers, whether they're imaging biomarkers or molecular biomarkers, tools for enhancing treatment such as radiation and imaging, looking at tools in interventional oncology, as well as approaches in multidisciplinary software and tech-enabled services, as we've highlighted in the last two slides. So with that, I'd like to thank you for spending some time with us today. I'm excited about the future of Varian and some of the things we're now able to do, being part of the Siemens Healthineers family. The stakeholders are our patients, and we aim to help bridge the cancer gap in the coming years. So again, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Dr. D. And also, you will find with the material sent with the program, text of a video for from Electa, and also a wonderful video from Mr. Dow Wilson, the CEO and the past CEO and president of Varian Healthineers. What I would like to say is that I am very thankful to all this. But I would like to ask you, not only you, the attendance now, the few attendants now, the whole community, all oncology community, all the health community, did you see that all these numbers announced about cancer in 2030 and 2000 and the number of deaths and the number of kids isn't horrible? Yes. Did you see that the affordability of better value cancer care for cancer patient is increasing or decreasing? No, it is decreasing. Despite of conference organization, Astro, IAA, all of us. I'm not offending anybody because I am one of them. I am old man. I am contributed in all this. The problem is not that in the players. The player is excellent, are excellent. But the problem in the game, we should change the game to focus on how to increase affordability via better value, but by a scientific approach. And this should be the indicator and the goal, not about to promote for a new technology, not some training course here and there, and some, as you see here, Dr. D say that there is need, and we know all this, that the need in 2023, in 2013, there is a need for 20,000 accelerator. So the problem is not this all loud, noisy thing, a celebration about one center here and there, and about training center here and there. No, the question is too huge than this. 3-4 centers, this organization, we should work together for more realistic thing. So I would like to say that there are solutions. I'm not speaking theoretically. I'm not dreamers. We are not dreamers. I would like to say that if you look, because I would like to not to speak a lot, to give 5 minutes to Dr. Fifi and 5 minutes to Dr. Abba, and if anyone would like to say something, and surely for Professor Sikora, I would like to say that we are not think about theoretical things. In our series and in our series now, and we send to all again, there are many solutions published to reduce the total cost of systemic cancer therapy of many of them by 70 to 80%. So I would like to say clearly, I'm old man. I don't. It is crime to not to search for this and not to disseminate this. 78% could be saved from this poor patient. This is like a vampire from the blood of patients. Enough. When you see that 58% of the potentially fatal side effects is not announced by FDA, potentially fatal, and it is published. And not published by 30% of it, 38% of them, but not published in high impact journals. So how we are as oncologists, as know this potential side effect. So we kill patients and we don't know what is going on. It is crime. It is crime. I am not speaking now about romantic thing, about theoretical thing. But all this is published in our first webinar in this series. It is entitled simply how you can double or more the number of treated patients by radiotherapy by the existing facilities. Correct me if I'm wrong. This is a webinar for discussion for all. Take it and disseminate it and add to it, modify it, correct me and correct us. I'm not inventing anything, by the way. I'm not inventing. If I invent anything, maybe I claim like this one who would like to take Nobel Prize or something. But I didn't invent anything. So these things is between your hands, and you are the owner of all this. And there are many things to do for patient. instead, and not this number. You see the number here, 25% affordability increase, percent increase of affordability by 25. Now we are 26. Before that, it was 20 by 20, and 20 for cancer chemotherapy, something by 20, and something planned for 2015, and so on. And Professor Kiros, you remember many non-realized plans and like this. There should be game change. I don't claim that I can change, but all of us. Game changing in global oncology has become a must, not an option. It's not a choice. And this is our message. I would like to hear from Professor Carol Sikora. Lead us, Professor Carol. Lead us, please. Please. Unmute your mic, please. Carol. Maybe he's away. Dr. Abba, and then Dr. Fifi. Abba?
Am I audible?
Yes. We count on you much, Abba.
Sure. Thank you so much. As we come to the conclusion of today's session, especially on oncology and artificial intelligence, I would like to thank all of our speakers and the participants for their valuable insight and contribution toward the discussion that we have highlighted both tremendously the opportunity of artificial intelligence operating in cancer care, from early dictation to a personalized treatment, and challenges we must address, including the ethics, the data quality, and equitable access to care. Moving forward, it's very, very clear that collaboration, innovation, responsibility lies on the implementation of how we can be able to implement artificial intelligence in a full potential in the oncology setting. So I believe that we should learn from one another, learn from the expert, learn the ethics, have the equitable access to care, and the data, the quality of the data that will enable us to implement the role of artificial intelligence in oncology setting. Once again, thank you for the most engaging and looking forward to continue dialogue as well as a partnership in advancing cancer care globally, and particularly have an interest to see how can we optimize our cancer care in low middle income country. So thank you once again. Looking forward for the next series, and I will hear from our colleagues. Thank you for all the speakers.
Thank you, Abba. And I count on you to be not only one of the leaders, but ambassador of this message.
Thank
Please
you.
do it for all the time. It needs any new thing needs persistence and patience, but there is a need. We should remember that millions of cancer patients are screaming, "Don't let us down. Don't let us down." So I would like to hear from Dr. Fifi and Dr. Monica, please. I want to hear from Dr. Monica and Dr. Fifi, please.
Thank you so much for this such an enlightening session. And yes, all thanks to today. It was such great scientific presentations from all the speakers. Thank you once again, Dr. Al-Zawawi, for making me part of this series. And I'm so much looking forward to the next one. Thank you, everyone, and very good night. Thank you.
We'll send the record for all. Please disseminate it with your name as co-leaders, all of you. And it needs persistence and need diffuse and need dissemination. And as I said, again, millions of cancer patients are screaming. There should be change for the better. So I close now. And I'm sorry that all the time in this in webinars, very sick really. This make my mood maybe not good, but this advantage to when you have a bad mood, you become more frank, and this sometimes is needed while all this suffering in the world are going around us. Thank you all, and bye-bye.